this video, I want to talk you through 6 steps that you can take to start actually prioritizing self-care in your life. And when I say self-care, I mean all of the above. I mean meditating, journaling, exercising, nutrition, all of the things that are really hard to get yourself to do on a consistent basis, but are genuinely life-changing when done consistently. At this stage, you know that self-care is important. BuzzFeed knows, corporate workplaces know, therefore you know. So I don't really want to talk about the importance of self-care, of exercising. That's a given. But as you know, knowing something is very far removed from actually doing something about it. So in this video, we're not going to be talking about the importance of self-care. We're more so going to be talking about how to change your attitude towards self-care so that you're practicing it consistently. Because personally, changing my attitude towards self-care has been the only thing that has ever helped me to practice self-care more. Step number 1, get rid of your generic why. On a sheet of paper, draw a table that looks like this. And then over the next month or so, start filling this table out and getting clear on what the immediate benefits of practicing those self-care pillars are and what the immediate negatives of not practicing those self-care pillars are. Let me explain. When I say immediate, I mean genuinely immediate. We aren't making up vague and generic benefits like exercise makes me feel healthy or sleeping better makes me happier. We are getting specific. We are customizing this specifically to us, how our bodies work and how we react. So for example, when I exercise, I am less selfish around the people that I love. And when I don't get 8 hours of sleep, I cry at things that I absolutely would not cry about if I got my 8 hours of sleep. Get specific. This is a personalized to you table. And if you can't do this on the spot, it's probably because you aren't used to thinking about how you feel. Begin to notice your thought patterns, your feelings, your energy, and your behavior after you practice these self-care pillars and when you don't practice them. The more that you can get incredibly specific about why you practice self-care, the more you are going to practice it. Step number 2, throw your identity in the trash. This is the biggest step that I took when I moved from someone who doesn't like exercise to someone who does. I had a closed mind when it came to exercise. I created my identity as someone who hated exercise. I would be like, ugh, running on a Saturday morning, why would you? I'd say things to people like, wow, I could never exercise in my lunch break at work. I don't know how you do it. Couldn't think of anything worse. Whereas now I say things like, ugh, like hot yoga was so good. It was amazing. The meditation after Pilates was absolutely killer. And I made that shift by opening my mind to the idea that I could move into a new identity. If you aren't open to the possibility that you could be someone who practices self-care and enjoys it, you won't become someone who practices self-care and enjoys it. If you have an identity that you've built that emphasizes a lack of self-care, like you're the person that's just always working, always stressing, no time for self-care, or you think meditating is weird, or you think that exercising is for people unlike yourself. For now, decide to keep that identity to yourself. Stop giving that identity power over you by expressing it. Then begin to introduce a new identity. I don't think that this should start with, I love and enjoy exercise, or I love and enjoy eating healthy foods, but it can start with something realistic, like I'm working on becoming a person who prioritizes self-care. Rest is something that I know I need to prioritize in my life. I'm in the process of finding a way to work out that I enjoy. Eventually, if you embrace the other steps in this video, you'll find yourself saying things that are more like, ugh, like I really enjoyed that class. Or self-compassion meditations are my favorite. But you need to start by opening your mind to the possibility that you could become a person that prioritizes self-care and practices it consistently. Step number 3, get new friends or influencers. If you are surrounded by people who think that meditating is woo-woo, who don't like exercise, who think that having a journal is weird, then you're going to struggle to shift into a new identity. When behaviors aren't normalized by the circle of people around you, it's so much harder to start embracing them. Obviously, asking you to make new friends is a very big ask, but the next little step that you could take is to find new influencers. To be clear, there are some fitness influencers who will simply never inspire you because you don't relate to them. For example, I get comments regularly from people who say, that's easy for you to say, you don't have children. And that's absolutely true. And it would be much more relatable for them to follow someone who is also a mom sharing their productivity advice, because they'd be able to take that more seriously because they relate to that person better. You need to find someone who is relatable in the fitness and wellness industry, and that is kind of difficult, I will say, but it needs to be someone who feels like they could be a friend, who feels like they have similar life circumstances to you. I think finding someone local also adds to their relatability. For example, Kim Kardashian's morning routine is simply never going to inspire most people because she is incredibly unrelatable. But if I saw the girl down the road that was my age, similar interests, similar financial background, having a killer morning routine, I would be inspired. I'd be watching her YouTube videos. I would be thinking, oh, she's literally down the road from me. My thought patterns would be, she can do that, so I can do that. Not, well, she has this, that, and the other, therefore that makes her superior to me and I could never. Find the fitness influencer or even just the lifestyle influencer that talks about fitness, shows their yoga routine occasionally, that is relatable to you. It could be a mother of 3 with ADHD. It could be the cottagecore girl who loves BTS and home decor, but also has a killer yoga routine. Step 4, reframe how you look at self-care. Changing how you frame all aspects of self-care is huge. For example, if you are someone who frames exercise as hard work, it's going to be harder to get yourself to exercise. If you frame going to sleep early as a thing that boring people do, you're probably not going to get into a good sleeping routine of going to sleep early if that's something that you want to do. For an example of how frames have played a part in how my attitude towards self-care has changed, I used to frame connection as a nice waste of time. So every time I was hanging out with people, I was like, no, I'm wasting time. I should be doing things. But now that I frame connection as self-care, I treat it so differently. I know that if I don't connect in a meaningful way with the people that I love in my week, I am not going to be my best self. So I make sure that I'm connecting in meaningful ways with the people that I love. Some reframes come naturally over time. That reframe came just from purely learning about the importance of connection. But some reframes can be things that you prompt. A lot of reframing exercises do just get you to turn your negative belief into a positive belief, but I don't find that that resonates with me. I like a more custom to you reframe. So if you have a frame of exercise equals hard work, you'd ask yourself questions like, what would someone who viewed exercise as fun say about it? What would my fit friend say about exercise? What quote could I apply to this situation? How would my favorite TV character view this in a positive light? Come up with just a bunch of different ways to look at it rather than just one way, which is like, I love exercising, and then find a way that actually resonates with you of framing each self-care item. Step 5, try new approaches until something feels good. This is something you've heard before, but I'm going to re-emphasize it. High intensity gym class workouts are not the only way to work out. Sitting down and doing a guided meditation is not the only way to meditate. Eating a strict plant-based diet is not the only way to eat healthy. You need to try different things in order to find what works for you, and there is something that will work for you. I 100% used to think that HIIT workouts were the only way to work out, but there is in fact rock climbing, swimming, dancing, long hikes in nature, Pilates, hot yoga, social netball, spin, boxing. There are so many ways to move your body, and there will be one way that feels really good for you. Have an experimenter's approach to things when it comes to embracing self-care in your life, and you're going to learn so much about what you do like and what you will be consistent with and what you don't like and what you won't be consistent with. For me, when I first started exercising and I started trying different ways of moving my body, I learned so much about myself, and I was actually trying to learn about myself. My introvert self does not need social sport. I don't need socializing alongside exercising, and I'd much rather it weren't there. I love a slow burn workout with a little bit of fast pace, but I will not do a fully fast paced workout where I am panting. It's really relevant information that helped me to find exercises and workout classes that I actually enjoy. Step 6. You don't need to go that hard. So when I go to any gym class and the teacher says, and if you want to push yourself even further in your practice today, do this. I often just say no. 50% of the time, I'm not pushing myself. I often will give my classes sort of the bare minimum, if you will. Like, I meet the bar, but I'm not raising it, unless I feel like genuinely pushing myself. And doing the bare minimum gives me what I need. My mood is more stable. I feel good in my body. My win is showing up, and I don't need any more wins unless I feel like it. And this is me giving you permission to do the same. You are allowed to do the bare minimum in some areas of your self-care chart. If you're cooking your weekly meals, they don't need to be interesting if you can bear it. They can just be broccoli, tofu, rice. If you're getting into the self-care habit of cleaning your house, it doesn't need to be spotless, it just needs to be functional. If you want to integrate the self-care habit of planning your week, you don't need an immaculate, detailed, time-blocked plan in a beautiful Notion page that's hyper aesthetic. You can just have a basic list. You don't need to, and most people simply will not be able to show up with 100% effort in every area of self-care. If you like this video and you're also interested in more so the habit building side of things, I talk about that plenty. There are tons of videos on my channel about that you can apply to creating your self-care habits that are going to be genuinely helpful to you. I'll have a playlist on my screen all about habit building. I talk about how to get back on track with your routines and your goals, easy ways to stick to your habits, the art of building new habits and routines. All those videos will be in the playlist on the screen. That is also down below. I appreciate you guys so very much, and I will see you soon.